We all know that North Myrtle Beach is the place to be if you want to experience our state dance, shag. And we all know that before 1968, the name North Myrtle Beach didn't even exist. But here are some facts I bet you didn't know.
I went to the gift show the first time with Cindy and her aunt and uncle. They had the Lizelle's flower shop, and her other aunt and uncle had the Gay Dolphin. So we were all in Atlanta for the gift show, and had never been to a gift show. I didn't know what they're about. And you go in, they said, well, $200 is the minimum that you can spend here, and so I didn't buy a thing. I came home very discouraged and I guess financially embarrassed. So that's when I did the produce stand, and it worked pretty good. I grew my own vegetables, and a guy came along, Fred Trask. You don't remember him? He's one of the Trask family. They were big folks from Wilmington to Charleston. And Fred was writing for the North Myrtle Beach Times, and he did a thing with a pumpkin in it, and he named her Alice. It was a 300-pound pumpkin somebody had brought to my produce stand, and that's helped my business along a little bit. Me standing there beside this 300-pound pumpkin. It was nice to move indoors and get out of the produce business in a hurry. But I planted my own watermelons and cantaloupes, and one cantaloupe grew to be 17 pounds. And Mr. Dew loved eating my cantaloupes. And I gave that 17-pound cantaloupe to my mother, which is really a freak. I mean, it was the only one that got bigger than probably 5 or 6 pounds. And my mother never thought I grew that cantaloupe. It was so good and so beautiful. And it irked me because I was so proud of that cantaloupe. And some of the old farmers, Walter Besant had a store across the street from where I was doing my produce stand and all. And I'd meet some farmers over there, Mr. I think of his name in a minute, but he was a wonderful man. And I asked him how he would grow watermelons, because I was going to grow my own watermelons in that field out there, which is where Toby's Old World is now, in the parking lot for the Parsons table. And he said, well, you need to use hog manure. And he said that's one of the best things you can use to grow with. And somebody else said you need cottonseed meal, and somebody else said you need whatever else. So I went up to Maxon, North Carolina, bought a 100-pound bag of cottonseed meal. I met somebody that had a farm somewhere, and I took my trailer and got stuck in the hog lot, loading up hog manure. But anyway, these experiences were great to have.
That goes back to the early 80s, I think, if memory serves me correctly. And I used to, we had a great radio personality, Dick Biondi, that moved down into the area, and had the little North Myrtle Beach station. And he and Billy Smith, I think Billy followed Dick, and it was probably the most listened to station anywhere around by far. And Dick was very controversial, and you know, he didn't take it easy on anybody, from the mayor to the city manager to whoever it was. He said what he felt like saying. But he had a cast of local characters, Pearline, Daddy Rabbit. I'm not going to tell you what my nickname was, but I was on the program. But I might as well. It was Hose Nose. He thought I had the biggest nose in the world. Of course, back then I was very thin, and it probably looked a little bigger. But anyway, we were on the radio just about every morning. He'd call me or I'd call him, and we, just talk about golf, talk about whatever Dick wanted to talk about. And he got into fundraising, and I got into it with him too. We'd raise money for different organizations, with golf tournaments or whatever. And I got involved with Vanna White's mother, Joan. She was very big in the American Heart Association here in Horry County. And that led to a lady, Marge Stonebrook. And you can't say no to those women. And we started something that was called the Heart Card. And it was the first card that they sold to raise money that allowed you to play golf courses in the area for a reduced rate.
When I was 25, I said, Daddy, I've heard you talking about stores till I'm tired of it. He said, He said, you go out there and build one if you think you can build it. I said, no, I'm not going to build it like that. I said, you give me the piece of land and I'll show you how to build a store. He said, what? You? How much money you got, son? I said, I got $500. So he went to the lawyer and got it fixed up. And give me the land with dollar with love and affection, an acre and 6/10 of land. Because I didn't want my brother-in-laws coming in there telling me, "Hey, you gonna do something? You know, you gonna do it? You know, do it my way." I said, "No, I don't want to have to kill them." I said, "You give it to me, and I'll build it." So I did. I built it with the help of W.F. Cox Company in Tabor City. Went and got the building material and credit. Built the store. Then I had it built. Didn't have nothing to go in there. So I got Bell Oil Company to put the gas in, and then I got groceries on the credit from Singletary out of Whiteville. And we got drinks and stuff to go in there. And the first year we was open, in 1966, we took in 40,000. Country store. We had hog feed and groceries and drinks and ice cream and a lot of different things, you know, like country store. Good cold Pepsis, drinks.
The Little River Campground was taken over by the feds, and a girlfriend and I used to go in there and fish. So when the federal marshals took over the campground, they put a lock across the gate that you couldn't go in. So my husband loves to tell this story. So I was asking Bob McInnes, I can't go fish anymore like I used to, and he said, well, call the U.S. Marshal and tell him, see if he'll find out some way to let you in. So I did. I called him and told him, you know, that my girlfriend and I fished in there and with the lock. Well, he thought it was a little bit unusual, but he told me to send him a disclaimer that if we fell and broke our ankles or anything, we wouldn't hold the federal government responsible. We typed up a little thing, sent it to him. He sent me back a license to go in there and fish. My husband says that I'm the only person he knows that has a federal fishing license. So the first time we went in there afterwards, we caught a little fish. We never caught much there, but it was fun to go. Caught a little fish about this big, and I held it up. She took my picture, and we sent it to the United States Marshal's office. That was cute.
The first high school that was built, by the way, is the North Myrtle Beach High School. The school board told us that there were other places that needed a school more than we did, but we're the ones who spearheaded the drive to get it done, and so they agreed to put a new high school in North Myrtle Beach. They bought the property, started construction. Then one day I got a call from the principal, Mr. George Williams, who was the first principal of the new school. And he called me up and asked me if I could come to a meeting that they were having. It was an emergency and they needed all the business people in the community to get behind it if they could. So I went over to the meeting, come to find out I was the only businessman there. And what it involved with is the school board had decided they would build the school. They would not put any athletic facilities. They would just be a building in the middle of a field, and that was it. And we thought that was wrong. We worked for several years on that. Devised a plan where the school board gave to the county some property. The county in turn used that property as collateral to get a federal grant, and they built the first tennis courts for the high school with that, on that property. It seems strange, but we had a state championship tennis team and no tennis courts. We had no track. We had a state championship track team in those days, and no track. We had to borrow the track in Myrtle Beach if we wanted to hold a meet. We worked with the construction company who agreed to grade in a football field and a track around it. We got the poles for the lights donated. We got the lights donated from GE. We got the scoreboard donated by Pepsi-Cola. We held fish fries and other ways to raise money. And by the time Harold Dunlap was hired as our football coach, we had pretty well put everything in place, and we turned over everything we had to Harold and the Booster Club, plus about $9,000 worth of cash that we had raised with our fundraising activities.
When you go out on the water and you're in the waterway, you know, we call it the ditch. It goes from Florida to New York. And you're sitting there watching dolphin swim beside your boat in the waterway. You know, that's just beautiful, and so many people don't get to see that because they don't know that it's available to them, I don't think. The estuaries around here, you know, that breed all of this, you know, it's a breeding ground. I love this area. When I first moved here, I would go up to Little River in the evenings around 5 o'clock, sit on the dock, and wait for the fishing boats to come in to see what they caught. I knew all the captains up there, and would occasionally latch on to a grouper or something, you know. But those guys that earn their living on the water, I have all the respect in the world for them. Now, I have a master's license with the Coast Guard. Nothing can compare to the years these guys have spent on the water. One captain, Danny Jewell, he was long lining during the winter, and a rogue wave took out every window in the boat, all of his electronics. Coast Guard picked him up, the helicopter couldn't carry everybody. So Danny and one of his mates stayed back, and for the helicopter to make the second pass to pick them up, and they took them to Windy Hill Airport. I heard on the news that a boat out of Little River went down, and I called his number, his cell phone, and couldn't get him. So then I called his house, and I got his wife, and she said, and I said, who went down out of Little River? She said, it was Danny. And she said, you know what he was doing when the Coast Guard got there? And I said, no, what? He was trying to ice down his fish so it wouldn't ruin. And I said, well, that sounds like Danny. She said, you know what he's doing now? This was the next day. And she said, he's taken somebody else's boat out there to see if they can find his boat, and they're going to try to pump the water out of it and drag it back. And that's what they did. I mean, it's their life, and that's the way they live it.
So as you can see, we're hard at work documenting history for the future North Myrtle Beach Area Historical Museum. And here's one more fact: we need you. Come join us in our effort to preserve North Myrtle Beach area history.